Good evening and welcome to Al24 News, streaming live from the capital Algiers, and I'm Abdurrahim Kashur, and these are today's top stories. North Korea conducted its largest missile test since 2017 on Sunday, sending a suspected intermediate-range ballistic missile soaring into space, seen as taking the nuclear-armed country a step closer to resuming long-range testing. Events to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday begin. A large crowd is expected to attend this anniversary commemoration. Portuguese voters went to the polls on Sunday for the parliamentary selection with no clear winner in sight, and uncertainty increased by potentially low turnout amid record coronavirus infections. The oil spill that is described as an ecological disaster by the Peruvian government sparked by the volcanic eruption thousands of miles away is twice as big as previously reported. Hello again and welcome. This is Al24 World Latest. North Korea carried out its largest missile test since 2017, sending suspect intermediate-range ballistic missile soaring into space, putting the nuclear-armed country one step closer to restarting long-range tests. The launch might take the January busiest month in North Korea's missile program's history, analysts believe, as the country's missile program expands and develops new capabilities. In the same line of thought, this firing an intermediate-range ballistic missile that was in the air for about 30 minutes and landed in the waters outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirkazu Matsuno told reporters over this incident as follows.
We estimated that the missile flew at maximum altitude of 2,000 kilometers and as far as 800 kilometers before landing outside of the Japanese exclusive economic zone on the Sea of Japan side. So far, we haven't confirmed any casualties from airplanes and ships in the area. North Korea's certain activities, including the consecutive firing of ballistic missiles, is a great threat to the peace of our nation, the region, and the international society. Firing such a high-intensity ballistic missile violated the United Nations Security Council, and we strongly protested to North Korea.
In the same story, Kim Jong-un visited a munition factory producing a major weapon system while conducting tests of a long-range cruise missile. North Korea fired what is appeared to be the most powerful missile, marking Pyongyang's seventh weapon launch this month. A U.S. State Department spokesperson said that the launch demonstrates the threat posed by North Korea's unlawful weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missile programs, and called on Pyongyang to engage in sustained and substantive dialogue. 5 decades after British soldiers killed 13 unarmed Catholic civil rights marchers on the 30th of January 1972 in the Bogside area of Derry, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom, one of the most important days of the Northern Ireland conflict, relatives are still searching for the justice they believe is needed for a scarred society to heal. More later.
Bloody Sunday, a massacre of British soldiers who shot 26 unarmed civilians during a protest march against custody without trial. Family and friends of the 13 Catholics who died in Londonderry on Bloody Sunday and of the 14th who died later of his wounds gathered this week for a series of memorials to mark the event that helped fuel 3 decades of the bitter sectarian and political violence. The former Labour Party leader, Jeremy Corbyn, condemned the British government for its controversial plans to ban prosecutions for troubles killings. His comments were made as he delivered the 2022 Bloody Sunday Memorial Lecture at Derry's Guildhall.
It's an outrage that nobody has been prosecuted for the deaths of 14 innocent civilian protesters.
Carbain is a long-time supporter for the Bloody Sunday families. He gave his lecture at the same location where most of the hearings in the Bloody Sunday inquiry took place and criticized the contentious proposals put forward by the British government.
And it's a double outrage that the British government is now planning legislation to make it even harder for such an effort to succeed at any time in the future.
Memorial events are taking place in Derry today to mark the 15th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. In a virtual address on Sunday afternoon, the President will pay tribute to the victims of Bloody Sunday and all those who lost their lives in the Troubles, as well as the example set by the people of Derry and those who campaigned for the truth.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson says Britain is considering a major deployment of troops, warships and fighter jets in Eastern Europe to counter Russian hostility toward Ukraine. This package would send a clear message to the Kremlin. We will not tolerate the destabilizing activity, and we will always stand with our NATO allies in the face of Russian aggression. And as Johnson said in a statement late on January 29, I continue to urge Russia to engage in negotiations and avoid a reckless and catastrophic invasion. A massive winter, or let me begin with a massive winter storm with heavy snow and high winds pounded the U.S. East Coast on Saturday, prompting dozens of flights to be cancelled and extreme weather warning issued throughout a 70 million person region. Islam Seed on what follow.
It is going to get rather unpleasant out there, a phrase which describes the massive storm that hits the country. The storm wreaked havoc on New York and Boston on Saturday morning, but also caused havoc on the mid-Atlantic. According to flight tracker FlightAware, 3,500 flights were cancelled on Saturday for travel within, into or out of the United States. And 701 flights have already been cancelled on Sunday as a big winter storm with strong winds and several inches of snow is expected to engulf key East Coast cities. On Friday, there were almost 1,450 cancellations. Salt trucks and snow plows roamed through the streets of New York on Saturday morning. Mayor Eric Adams warned that Mother Nature has a tendency to do as she wants.
We all know by now that the National Weather Service has issued a winter storm warning for New York City, and we are going to be prepared for it. We could expect up to 1 foot of snow, but you know, Mother Nature has a tendency to do what she wants, and we're just going to be prepared as it shifts. We'll be prepared for the shift in the snow. The real concerns, speaking with the commissioner and his team, is about the high winds. Visibility is going to be challenging tomorrow, particularly because of the light snow. And so we're asking people to use public transportation. As I say over and over again, we have one of the best public transportation systems. This is an opportunity to do so.
The rate of snowflow would be 2 to 4 inches per hour, with severe gusts causing scattered power disruptions. The Weather Service said, expect whiteout conditions and near impossible travel at times. New York and New Jersey governors have declared states of emergency, and Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has declared a snow of emergency as well. New York Governor Kathy Hochul warned in a statement, citing particularly severe snowfall on Long Island, New York City, and the lower Hudson Valley.
Get home safely tonight. Stay home over the weekend and avoid any unnecessary travel.
According to the NWS, the storm will bring exceptionally cold temperatures and hazardous wind chills Saturday night into Sunday morning.
1 week after the military takeover, the ousted President Kabore in Burkina Faso, time for talks has come. An ECOWAS military delegation will stay in Ouagadougou, followed a few days later by ministerial envoys. The group of military officials is composed of representatives from Benin, Togo and Ghana and is led by ECOWAS Peace and Security Commissioner Francis Bahanzine of Benin. The envoys evaluated the situation in the country and briefly discussed with Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sonadagago Damiba, the co-leader. The Peruvian government claims that an oil spill off the coast of Peru earlier this month was twice as large as previously reported. The spill was dubbed an ecological calamity by officials who blamed it for the death of local fish and seabirds. Miriam Zian.
A tanker off the coast of Peru was hit by waves associated to Tonga's volcanic eruption on January 15th, spilling 6,000 barrels of oil and contaminating huge areas of water, prompting Peru to declare an environmental emergency and blame the oil company Repsol. Nearly 12,000 barrels of oil escaped into the water, according to the Environment Minister Ruben Ramirez, when a tanker at the La Pampilla refinery was smashed by waves caused by a volcanic eruption in Tonga. Peru has requested compensation, and prosecutors have launched an investigation into the Spanish firm's role in the catastrophe, which could result in fines of more than $34.5 million. On Friday, a judge allowed a request to prevent 4 executives from leaving the country for 18 months.
This Court of Transitory Preparation of an Investigation of the Superior Court of Justice for Puente and Ventanilla has decided the following. First, to declare as founded the requirement for coercive measures to prevent departure from the country for a period of 18 months against those being investigated, who are identified by general law.
After a revised government estimate put the number at 11,900, up from the 6,000 previously reported, Repsol said it had calculated the oil spill to be equivalent to more than 10,000 barrels, blaming the leak on unusual waves triggered by a massive volcanic eruption in Tonga.
We will fully cooperate with any criminal investigation. Our main concern is cleaning up the environment. We are putting all our efforts into cleaning up as quickly as possible.
Several local fishermen have launched protests because they were unable to go out to sea and work as a result of the accident. Peruvian authorities worry that protected animal and plant life zones have been severely harmed.
In Thailand, Governor of Rayong province has declared a state of emergency yesterday after oil started washing up along the long stretch of popular beach, shutting down restaurants and shops. An estimate of 50,000 liters of oil leaking from an underwater pipeline in the Gulf of Thailand continues to wash ashore and blacken the sand. The Thai Navy, along with the Star, Petroleum Refining, the owner of the pipeline, are working to contain the oil leak. Prime Minister Antonio Costa remains the favorite to win Sunday's snap election in Portugal, even if the chances of the absolute majority he seeks look progressively slimmer. The gap between supporters for Costa's Socialist Party and their main right-wing rivals has eroded dangerously this week from 8% to just 2.5%, according to recent opinion polls.
With us, and under no circumstances will our government depend directly and indirectly, collaborate a little or more, or Chega. No, we will never depend on Chega for anything.
On an official visit to the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was welcomed in Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed ibn Zayed. The Minister and Crown Prince Abu Mohammed in Dubai has discussed ways to strengthen ties between the UAE and Ethiopia in many fields in order to further their overall development efforts and objectives. The leaders discussed recent regional and global events, as well as a number of issues of mutual concern, especially those related to peacemaking efforts in the Horn of Africa. Many confirmed cases of Lassa fever, according to Nigeria Center for Disease Controls, have been reported in several Nigerian cities. This latter reported at least 32 persons died of Lassa fever in the first 3 weeks of 2022. Islam Seed on what's follow.
Since the beginning of the year, more than 32 people have died of Lassa virus, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. During that time, the country recorded a total of 170 new confirmed cases, according to the agency. As stated by reports conducted by NCDS this year, from week 1 to week 3, 2022, 32 deaths have been reported with a case fatality rate of 18.8%, which is lower than the CFR for the same period in 2021 by 25.0%. The NCDS said 74% were recorded in 3 states of Edo, Ondo, and Bauchi. The agency reported 294 probable Lassa fever cases throughout 23 local government areas in 9 states during the third week of the year, which ran from January 17 to 23rd. A total of 759 suspected cases of the disease were reported across 37 local government districts in 12 states, according to the report. Infected multi-mammat rats transmit the Lassa virus to people, and humans become infected by coming into intimate contact with the virus-carrying rat's urine or feces. It is spread by coming into contact with filthy objects, eating infected food, or touching open wounds or sores. Another transmission from person to another person can also occur as a result of contact with the virus in an infected patient's blood, tissue, urine, feces, or other bodily fluids.
Italian President Sergio Mattarella agreed to serve a second 7-year term in the 8th round of voting in the Italian parliament, and in Congo, dozens penalized to death over murders of UN experts. And more international news in this roundup by Miriam Zian.
Italian President Sergio Mattarella agreed to serve a second 7-year term in the 8th round of voting in the Italian parliament. This comes after political parties failed to find an acceptable alternative to Mr. Mattarella. The leader won the 8th round of voting when he clinched the minimum of 505 votes needed from the eligible 1,009 grand electors. About 50 people were sentenced to death, many in absentia, in Democratic Republic of Congo in connection with the murders of UN experts Zaida Catalan and Michael Sharp in 2017, a defense lawyer in the case said. A local immigration official was among those given death sentences, while an army colonel was given 10 years in prison, said Treasurer Kabangu, who represented several defendants in the trial. Congo has observed a moratorium on the death penalty since 2003, so those convicted will serve life sentences. Following a break in the Amazon, OCP Ecuador, the operator of Ecuador's privately owned heavy oil pipeline, stopped pumping crude as a precautionary measure and began cleaning and repairs. The pipeline ruptured late Friday in Ecuador's Piedra Fina zone, where regressive erosion forced the government to declare force majeure over its oil exports and production in December after the OCP and state-owned SOTE pipelines ceased pumping due to regressive erosion. Kosovo has been experiencing an energy crisis for over a year, when the cost of imported electricity surged sevenfold over the previous year. Several thousand people protested against a potential increase in energy costs in the capital Pristina, scuffled with police blocking the entrance to Kosovo's government offices as Kosovo's energy regulator stated it may increase energy rates by up to 50% for most consumers.
Burkina Faso advanced to the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations as they defeated Tunisia 1-0 in an end-to-end encounter in Garoua. After an open 45 minutes, the Stallions took the lead with the last kick of the first half, courtesy of the fine individual effort from Dango Ouattara to grab his first international goal. The Stallions held to secure their passage to the last four of the tournament, where they will play either against Senegal or Equatorial Guinea for a place in the final. On the other side, Senegal and Equatorial Guinea round off the quarter-finals of the African Cup of Nations when they go head-to-head at the Ahmadou Ahidjo Stadium for a place in the last four against Burkina Faso, semi-final in the game that will kick off in less than 2 hours from now. Other side also from the competition between Morocco and Egypt, the game moved toward the extra time that is still rolling right now. Worth mentioning that Soufiane Boufal put Morocco ahead from the spot in the 7th minute, but Salah drew Egypt level in the minute of 53. Then Mohamed Trezeguet at the second goal, and now they are moving to the second half of the extra time. Wishing the best for both teams for a better success. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a reminder for our main stories. North Korea conducted its largest missile test since 2017 on Sunday, sending a suspected intermediate-range ballistic missile soaring into space, seen as taking the nuclear-armed country a step closer to resuming long-range testing. Events to commemorate 50th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday began. A large crowd is expected to attend this anniversary commemoration. Portuguese voters went to the polls on Sunday in a parliamentary election with no clear winner in sight, and uncertainty increased by potentially low turnout amid the record coronavirus infections. The oil spill that is described as an ecological disaster by the Peruvian government sparked by a volcanic eruption thousands of miles away is twice as big as previously reported. That's all what we have gathered for today's news. Our 24 news program is still rolling, so stay tuned for further information. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.